The Rocky Mountains and red rocks in Colorado may not have changed in the last 25 years, but we sure have.
We were such babies. Just look at our hair and Zeke's Revo sunglasses and the jeans. Yikes.
We're Zeke and Terri, empty nest travel adventurers from the San Francisco Bay Area.
In our videos, we share how two totally different people with completely different expectations for travel plan, compromise, and deepen our relationship as we travel the world, mostly together.
Colorado is a beautiful state. We've only just begun experiencing all that Colorado has to offer and loved our 2-day field trip from Denver to Boulder and the Rocky Mountains, including Estes Park.
Last summer, we explored southern Colorado when we were moving our son to Denver, and we're still trying to figure out how to share that adventure.
Since Boulder is less than an hour from Denver, depending on traffic, it's a great weekend getaway on its own, or a fantastic add-on while visiting Denver.
This past fall, we flew into Denver International Airport and were picked up by our son Adam and his girlfriend Jillian. And after taking them to brunch, we took them shopping, and then we borrowed his We borrowed his trusty Subaru for our quick getaway to Boulder.
As we approached Boulder, we were blown away by the Flatirons, an iconic mountain range that we learned is not part of the Rocky Mountains.
Thank you, Google. After checking into our less than stellar mid-century retro motel base camp that we do not recommend, we walked down to the Pearl Street Mall. The only good thing about this motel was the location, since it was right next to CU Boulder and within easy walking distance to Pearl Street.
Pearl Street is the historic downtown hub of Boulder, which some consider the heart of the city. It spans 4 blocks from 11th to 15th Street with lots of restaurants and shops, including the Boulder Bookstore, which has both new and used books.
We could have spent a lot of time and money in that store. As for Pearl Street, it is close to traffic, pedestrian friendly, and when we were there, we saw quite a few of musical performers.
There were so many great looking restaurants, it was difficult to choose where to dine the 2 nights we were there.
One of my tennis friends suggested Salt, and it was a great recommendation. We sat outside at this corner restaurant and enjoyed not just the food, but the parade of people walking by.
I remember being really surprised by the vegan carrot cake. It was really good.
And I suggested that they add candied ginger to it, which would have made it truly extraordinary. The wines by the glass were reasonably priced and offered a global selection of really good wines.
It was dark by the time we walked back, and we loved how quirky the downtown area was.
There was so much to see along the way. We were too tired and full from dinner to enjoy s'mores at the motel. Bummer.
The next night, we dined al fresco at Mateo, a French restaurant also on Pearl. It came highly recommended, but it wasn't fantastic. Maybe it was an off night.
I'd like to give it another try because it was so cute, but with so many options, it's hard to go back to what appeared to be a mediocre restaurant.
While we are on the subject of food, we should talk about the breakfasts we had.
My tennis friend also recommended the Buff. I'm certain that it's named after the live CU Boulder mascot, Ralphie the Buffalo.
Fun fact, Ralphie is a she, since female bison are smaller and have a less aggressive temperament than the male bison.
Which wouldn't matter, but since she is in fact a live mascot, I suppose this is important.
To the mascot handler.
Exactly.
Speaking of CU Boulder, it is a beautiful campus and we were completely wowed by it. There was one area that made us feel like we were in Italy.
I think our youngest got into CU Boulder sight unseen, but chose not to go there. It's really expensive for California residents who rarely get financial aid packages from the school.
It's also a big campus, over 600 acres with over 31,000 undergrad students. It was founded in 1876, shortly before Colorado became a state, and appeared to be incredibly well maintained.
It's also a Division I school, and the football stadium was enormous with a capacity of over 50,000 spectators.
One morning after a hearty brunch, we wanted to get into the Rocky Mountains and knew that Estes Park was about as far as we wanted to go since we only had the day.
I wanted to take the scenic route even though it took longer, so we took 36 west toward the Lions, then 7 west towards Allen's Park and Estes Park, and returned to Boulder via 36 east.
The route is about 110 miles and takes about 3 hours depending on the stops along the way.
It was a gorgeous drive up to Estes Park. We stopped at a campground picnic area for a quick pit stop before discovering the Chapel on the Rock.
This Catholic church, also known as St. Catherine of Siena Chapel, was built in 1936 and has been designated as a historic landmark looking up at Mount Meeker.
There's a conference retreat center just behind the chapel and a little cafe that we didn't venture into.
Our next stop was Lily Lake, surrounded by the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. This was a gorgeous and picturesque area.
There was a short 0.8-mile walk around the lake, but as usual, I was wearing the wrong shoes and we walked far enough to enjoy the view, breathe in the crisp mountain air, and take a few pictures.
While there, we learned of Enos Mills, one of the men behind the creation of the Rocky Mountain National Park. Kids in Colorado may learn about him in school, but I am pretty sure we didn't learn about him in our U.S. history class in high school.
Nope, but isn't that one of the joys of travel? To learn about people, things, and places that we wouldn't otherwise learn about, or to give context to things we see on TV or in the movies. Just last week while I was in New York, I saw streets and landmarks referenced in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and now I want to watch more things set in New York.
We got back on the road and went directly to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park.
Estes Park is in fact a town 90 miles northwest of Denver and is considered the gateway to the Rockies and the Rocky Mountain National Park. Estes Park is near 3 of the main entrances to the 250,000-acre national park that has 124 named peaks.
The Stanley Hotel is best known for inspiring Stephen King to create the Overlook Hotel in his book, The Shining. The hotel and grounds are beautiful, with extraordinary views of the surrounding mountains.
Redrum, redrum. You can take a guided tour of the property or simply walk around on your own. There's places to eat and drink at the hotel and a gift shop with lots of Stanley Hotel and period memorabilia.
By the time we got done wandering around the property, we needed to get back to Boulder for dinner and didn't explore much more of Estes Park itself. It appeared to be your typical mountain resort town with a lake.
Next time, I'd like to venture into the Rocky Mountain National Park, assuming we bring appropriate gear and footwear and snacks.
The drive back to Boulder was both easy and beautiful. We can see why people live in this part of the country.
About that, when I was first in Boulder back in the fall of 1998, I didn't love it. It felt like we were in Berkeley, California, which has never been my vibe. But this time, I loved Boulder so much that we reached out to a few folks to see about doing a home exchange for a month or two.
Do you remember the Trail Ridge Road drive we took to see the Continental Divide?
Yes, and I even found some pictures from that day. You know, the ones when we were so very, very young and also recently married.
Well, it was over 25 years ago.
And it took having a kid living in Denver to get us back there. I'd like to take advantage of this over the summer and go see a concert at Red Rocks or maybe get some more recent pictures of us there.
Thanks for joining us on our 2-night field trip to Boulder, Estes Park, and the Rocky Mountains.
We hope that you are inspired to consider this part of Colorado for one of your next trips. We'll share some options for Southern Colorado to complete a fantastic week to 10-day trip to Colorado. Be sure to check out our video on our favorite places in Denver and our Colorado blog posts on our website.
If you know of other places to visit in Colorado, please let us know. We'll be happy to add them to our list for future visits.
And if you like this video and want to see more like it, please subscribe to our channel. We really do appreciate your time and your interest.
And now, back to navigating our lives and the world
Together.